Zambia Blog Talk Radio.
Do you want to promote your business on Zambia Blog Talk Radio? Yes, that's right. Live on Zambia Blog Talk Radio. To book your spot, just make a donation by picking from the following categories. To get started, just call or WhatsApp the number on the screen and you'll be good to go. Live on Zambia Blog Talk Radio every Saturday for 1 full month. And it will stay on the recorded shows.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending upon which part of the world you're joining us from. We are live on Zambia Blog Talk Radio today, Saturday, the 15th of October, 2022. How time flies. So today, first of all, Uncle Nathan told me to say, hey, young man, I want you to be alone as well as Uncle Roger. They were like, Kasulu, we are going solo today. Let's see how you do it. So I'm depending upon your support, but definitely it will go on amazingly well. In the previous weeks or the previous 2 weeks, I have actually been announcing that I'll be embarking on a birthday marathon on the 6th of November. My birthday is on the 7th, but on the 6th, which is a Sunday, I'm scheduled to go on a 50-kilometer run. Yes, unbelievable, right? Yeah. Looking forward to your support, and I'll talk about it a bit more. So today I am joined by two individuals. The first one being Mr. Lukumo Luwaile. Hello, Mr. Luwaile. How are you doing?
Fine. How are you, Mr. Mashonga? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to wherever you are listening this particular time.
I'm great. Thank you. Ready for our show?
Definitely. Awesome. Looking forward to having a great conversation today, and to everyone that will be listening, looking forward to interacting with you more.
Most definitely. The second person we have is Mr. Modi Mwewa. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mashonga. Thank you for having me here. Good evening and good morning, good afternoon, viewers. I'm glad to join you today, and hopefully we can have a good chat.
Awesome. So our topic of discussion is obviously trending Zambian issues, stories, or however you'd like to coin it. We'll start, first of all, to quickly delve into the conservation part of it, or Lukumo Luwaile being an enthusiast when it comes to conservation. COP27, Mr. Luwaile. Tell us a bit more about COP27, or before that, let's talk about COP26 and what's this COP. Help us understand.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mashonga, and viewers and listeners. What is interesting to note first and foremost is that we need to get comfortable in bringing these talks to the table, especially when it comes to issues of climate change, because these are issues that are affecting the globe, affecting Africa, affecting our nation as well, Zambia. And so when you talk of COP27, or as Mr. Mashonga has mentioned, COP26, COP, this is not a jargon, but simply would say it's a conference of parties for countries around the globe that meet to negotiate on issues of climate change. And in other words, this is also referred to as the United Nations framework of climate change convention, or a climate summit that takes place annually in different cities around the world. And the last COP, which is referred to as COP26, was held in Glasgow, and quite a number of highlights came out from this convention, which saw a number of issues concerning climate change taking into action. And probably one of the overall key issues that we'll talk about when we talk of climate change is the warming of the planet, which overall over time, this has been a talk of trying to bring or maintain the global temperatures below 2 degrees Celsius, so that the people and wildlife in the planet can survive. And this is one of the key issues, and something that we talk about and dive in today and see what actions is this scope that we are looking forward to going to take, and how can we come on board to talk about these issues and participate in climate change issues.
Okay. A mouthful of issues raised there, but let me make mention. Mr. Muewa, at whichever point you'd like to come in as well, please feel free to come in. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, cool. So now, bringing you back, talking about COP 26, 27, and all the issues that you raised, climate change and all that. Um, it came up a lot, I think, last year when COP 26 was held in Glasgow, you stated. But before that, or up until now, how much have Zambians appreciated uh, issues to do with climate change? How much have we embraced this animal of global warming and things like that?
Well, it's quite a huge topic, received with so much mixed feeling, and uh, in other words, I was also say there isn't so much awareness in other places and other people to learn more about climate change. But in a nutshell, I think we've seen the adverse impacts of climate change over time, and one of the as a country that we've seen is the changing of the rainfall pattern over time, the drying up. Is it a few years ago of the mighty Victoria Falls, this one of the seventh wonders of this country, which has in its instance seen that these effects are affecting us. But I think people have not yet appreciated to take the knowledge that is quite necessary to learn that these effects are real, these effects are affecting us, and we need to come on board. And I think a number of CSOs, a number of NGOs, both local and international, youth-led movements are coming on board to bring out these topics, to bring out these issues, and to ensure that there is knowledge out there, there is action that is being taken. And I must say that the coming in of the new government and the new ministry, which is the Ministry of Green Economy, is bringing out a lot of issues to address issues of climate change in our nation. Is it this week when one of the CSOs, Center for Environmental Justice, had an environmental dialogue which was taking place, bringing on different stakeholders from all walks of life, including the local communities, the chiefs, the mining sector, NGOs that are dealing in environment, and different CSOs that are interested in these topics, to ensure that these environmental issues are addressed upfront, and we ensure that we are bringing in knowledge to the people that do not know much about climate change. So I think we are seeing an increase in people are taking how we can address issues of climate change, but I still feel we are not yet there, especially when you bring up these topics in public. People don't really pay attention, but they would really notice to say there is something that is happening, but they will not really appreciate when we bring these topics out to discuss and share.
Mr. Alwai, maybe just a random one. To what extent do you think the ordinary Zambian feels the negative effect of the climate change. Do you think the ordinary Zambian would be able to appreciate that we are having a climate crisis? Or is it something that the elites would only be the ones talking about, more especially that the most pronounced of events we have are the likes of COP26, COP27, and the like. And we don't really get to have much of these activities publicly done within Zambia.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Mwewa, I must mention to say there's a knowledge gap out there in terms of issues of climate change and people appreciating how climate change is impacting on our lives. Unless, people would really come on board and notice when there are adverse impacts, like when you talk about flooding, droughts, people will really come out to say we are really experiencing this because we've seen the impact. But the small issues that are happening around may not really go unnoticed because we are not paying attention to what nature is bringing to us and how the changing of the climate over time is affecting our livelihood. And also to mention one thing is that there is a difference when you talk about people or communities that are in the rural setup and communities that are in the urban or peri-urban. Communities in the rural setup are mostly dependent on issues of farming, or their livelihood is centered around farming or agriculture, livestock. And so when you talk about communities there, they experience these issues because their livelihood is dependent on farming. If this season they have experienced drastic droughts and they are not going to harvest anything, or it's a flooding, they're not going to harvest anything, surely somebody in the rural area out there will be in abject poverty because there'll be no alternative for them. But in peri-urban areas or urban areas, it's a different lifestyle where, for example, yourself, you go for work, and off for work you're getting a pay, and you not really feel the impact. For example, if somebody in the rural area of Shangombose, Sheke, Imusho cries out to say, I did not harvest even a cob from my maize field. For you, you will have a pay at the end of the month to ensure that you get a bag of mealie meal or to put food on your table. So I think the addressing of these issues should also bring out issues in the context of where we are. For example, if it's in the urban areas, how are we going to ensure that we are addressing these issues more as these issues are affecting us? And how are we going to ensure that in the rural setup, people are also adapting to the issues of climate change?
Okay, awesome. Well said. Coming back to just COP26 quickly, before we
Please,
actually now delve into COP27 and what's expected. Lots of countries obviously met in Glasgow in order to discuss and chart a way forward as regards green green related matters. What do you feel, Mr. Loaile, has been achieved from the time of COP26 to now, that now leaders again are about to meet as regards COP27?
Um, I must say that most of the issues that were discussed in the last COP26 were issues of trying to set ambitious goals for the globe in addressing climate change, and not so much has been addressed in terms of ensuring that we are meeting these goals. And so that's why COP27 is a landmark meeting that will ensure that we present these goals that were done in or at COP26, so that we have a set plan to ensure that we begin to achieve these goals. So Zambia is part of this COP that will be taking place. And we are expecting that our country will also present its case on how we are addressing these issues and how we are going to present on addressing the issues of climate change. So I believe this is the right platform, Mr. Mashonga, to you to advocate for these issues, bring people on board to ensure that they are part and parcel of negotiating as the government is going to present us at this COP27 that is coming up.
Amazing.
Are
Okay.
there any barriers that you are facing that you would want the world out there to maybe hear, like Zambia, for instance? What barriers do we have as conservationists, and where would you want people to come in? Maybe using this platform, we can be able to probably reach out to a few.
Yeah. So well, some of the issues that we really need to put up are the effects of climate change that we've seen. And I'll mention two as or three, let me say, as expectations for this COP that is coming up, and some of the issues that our government needs to put up, the NGOs that will be presenting us, and other CSOs that will be part of this important meeting, is that we need to come up with in adapting to climate change. And now climate adaptation refers to how the world changes and how we respond to the effects of climate change as opposed to mitigation. And there's been less financing towards climate adaptation as a whole, especially for Africa and as a country, Zambia, because this COP as well, let me just mention that is taking place in Africa, Egypt, and this should be a very good opportunity for African countries to present a very good case on effects that are really affecting us. One thing I should also mention is that when you talk of climate change effects, they are mostly affecting middle or middle income countries like Zambia, because we are less vulnerable to the issues of climate change, and we have less we have less ways of adapting to the issues of climate change than the other wealthy countries have. So one of the things is, how can we adapt to the changing of the climate, and it should be more financing towards adaptation in climate change. And the other issue that came up in the COP and the commitment was made was towards loss and damage. When we talk of loss and damage, climate-driven disasters are affecting countries in Africa. And I did give a specific example of Mozambique. When you look at Mozambique, the cyclone that happened, and that is a climate disaster that happened, and that shock was really bad, that people were left homeless, and we could not really come out of that shock because we are vulnerable to these issues of climate change. And so there should be a climate fund or a climate financing towards such issues. And one of the things that also came up was that in the last COP, wealthier countries committed to financing countries that are vulnerable to climate change. And only so far Denmark made a commitment to secure funds, a climate fund to finance vulnerable countries. But we are hoping that in this coming up COP27, we'll have more countries that will commit than just bring up talks and talks and talks without committing and making action, stepping forward. And lastly, but not the least, is that we hope that we keep the 1.5 degrees Celsius below, as a standard, that temperatures should not rise beyond, because if temperatures keep on rising, we are more vulnerable. People are vulnerable. Africa is vulnerable. Our wildlife and biodiversity is vulnerable, and we may not really adapt to these issues. So,
Mr.
as
Wiley.
discussions come up, we want to ensure that these things should come up in the expectations.
Mr. Loyally, just there. Interesting. You made mention to say the need to keep temperatures below 1.5. Is that degrees Celsius or?
Yes, yes, exactly, Mr. Mashonga.
So what do we need to do to keep temperatures below 1 degrees?
So, one of the things that have mentioned already, when you look at Africa as a whole, let me also just mention that our global contribution to greenhouse gases is nearly about 4% as Africa. And when we look around the world, these other bigger nations contribute larger to climate change, or the emissions, the greenhouse gas emissions. So the global north needs to make recommitments to ensure that the industrialized nations are committing to financing Africa, because we have even larger spaces that are carbon sinks for these greenhouse gases that are emitted into the environment. So these bigger nations should commit to ensuring that we keep these temperatures below 1.6 by cutting off emissions. And that's one of the things that is coming up currently, are the use of renewable energy, or renewable energy, such as shifting to energies such as wind, shifting to energies that are environmental friendly, in short, I would say. So this is a shift that the world is making, and we should ensure that as we present our case as Africa, as a nation, the global north countries, the wealthier countries, the industrialized countries should make a huge commitment to this. And also, let me mention that in COP21, there was a Paris Agreement that was made, and this Paris Agreement was an agreement to ensure that the global temperatures are kept at least below 2 degrees Celsius. And so these countries should ensure that these agreements, the Paris Agreement that was made, they are honoring it, and they are also ensuring that they're making efforts towards it.
Okay, awesome. In a nutshell, before we quickly take a break, what should the Zambian government do as regards promoting climate action?
I think before Mr. Wiley comes in, maybe
Mr. Moon.
my comment would be on plastics. Man, I think the government should ban plastics. I think there's a lot that we can benefit from that. I hear in Tanzania, when you are spotted with a plastic, you'll be treated more or less like a murderer, because technically you are murdering your environment. And I think we should also, as individuals, ensure that we manage well the way we dispose of plastics. Then personally, Mr. Wiley, I think earlier on, had talked about our agricultural space in the rurals. Maybe it's also up to us who are in the urban areas to go back to our villages, especially mine, Kwagwa Yamponda, where people are still practicing the Chitemene kind of system. They cut down their trees and burn that for whatever. I think it's time we we push that agenda even back there in the villages to ensure that that kind of farming is no longer there. If we can have proper kind of farming that promote good agricultural systems, I think we can do better.
Okay. Awesome. Mr. Loyal, quickly.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Mashonga. I think I've really talked a lot, but in a nutshell, there are a number of actions that we can take up. Not only the government. I think let me focus on individual action, because most of the times we wants to push everything to the government. The government has already come up with good policies. It has got legislation that is governing us as a country. And so in ensuring that we take climate action, one of the things is that let's be responsible in our environment as individuals in our public spaces. The disposal of the plastics in the environment. Let's take action in that. I think the little things that we do really make a great impact in our lives. And so, even as we talk about climate action, we need to ensure that our individual efforts towards addressing issues of climate change are going towards what the government is set for us to have a green Zambia. We ensure that we sustain our wildlife, we sustain our biodiversity, and we all together, if we put our actions, we will ensure that we live sustainably in nature, and most of these issues that will be addressed. And lastly, I think climate financing as one of the things that is coming out. The government should put up more financing towards addressing climate crisis in our country and adaptation. And one thing, this is something that is coming up in the conservation space, is nature-based solution. How can we come up with nature-based solutions that are from the environment, and they are presenting solutions for us to adapt to issues of climate change? So this is one space that we really definitely need to look into and ensure that we live sustainably in our environment, and we have a green Zambia, a better Zambia than we will leave it. Mr. Moyo. Mr. Mashonga.
Mr. Loyal?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you very much for that. Ish, that's deep, man. I think we really need to do a lot for our country and also for the world at large in order to promote the climate environment. There's so much out there that we need to do, and I think you're right when you say we shouldn't leave it to the government. And as individuals, we should as well take up that responsibility. We can't always be pushing everything to the government to handle. I think the more we as individuals come up with these things, come up with policies, and also challenge the government, especially now, like you had earlier mentioned, the new government has come up with a new ministry, the green economy, where we can take our grievances and probably engage those charged with governance to say, guys, this is what we need to do as a country in order to go forward, in order to fight the climate change. And also, I love how you are engaging with also the international community, the COP27 and the rest of the people that will be involved in that. I think it also brings us Zambians up to speed with what is happening in the global trends and how best Zambia can also be able to help out with other international organizations, and also how they can come in and also help out in Zambia. So I think it's a brilliant idea. I love it.
Yeah, and additionally, young people, youths, I think this is one space that we need also to really get involved. The youth voice is very important. in climate action. And so we are also feeling the impact when we talk about job opportunities out there. Um, we may not have everything because most of the issues that we are facing as a country, as Africa, we're still trying to adapt to issues of climate change. And so some of the spaces that we need to be finding solutions in nature and coming up with innovative ways in ensuring that we're addressing the impacts of climate change. And this will help us also to ensure that we are creating ourselves an enabling environment for the country and for the future. So youth action, youth voices are very key in participating in this. And I'm glad today, like Mr. Mashanga was saying, that he was taught that it's on, and we brought up all these issues as young people, and let's be open minded. Let's think outside the box. Let's think how we can present these issues, advocate to the government, and let the government at larger platforms like the COP27 that is going to take place, let them present the case of also what the young people need, is affecting the young people in the country, and how we plan to address issues as a nation. So youth action is very important, and I'm really passionate about it. And let's move on. Let's work together, ensuring that we're addressing these issues more proactively.
Exactly. I mean, we the youth are the people that will really be affected. I mean, if we leave this thing to the older folk, 20 years, 30 years down the line, they are not there. We are the ones who are going to suffer the most. So I think it's important for us as the younger people who are going to be there tomorrow to ensure that the tomorrow that we will be there for is just as good as what the past has been. I mean, we need to take that responsibility. I just love that. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
exactly, exactly. In case Mr. Mashonga I missed out, we're just talking about youth action in issues of climate action, and Mr. Moyo has alluded to very good points. I didn't know that he's coming from William Ponda. Is is
Yeah.
I've met William Ponda several times, and he one time gave me his number. So I just realized that I'm meeting somebody from all the way, and I don't know how you adapted to live on the island, Mr. Mwewa. How of all the places, you just went and sat on the island, but it's a
Uh,
good thing,
uh,
and I can see diversity in how we live and how we adapt to different environments.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I need to spoil a bit. I have not really stayed there for quite some time. I've
Yeah.
just been there, and I think
Oh, great, great.
it's a home because of I think ancestry, we can call it like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah. So
exactly, exactly.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean those places, man.
Oh, wow,
It's
that's
like I have not really met someone who's been those ends. It's quite far, and it's rare that you meet someone who's been there. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. That has been my area of operation in Bangaulu wetlands. I've been there for I worked there for nearly 2 years, but I also still
Oh, nice.
frequent. Yeah, so I've been to Waliamponda, the other chiefdom, the island chiefdom next to Waliamponda, which is I can't remember. And
Anyway,
these other, yeah, and these other chiefdoms that are surrounding Bangaolo. So it's really a nice place, and yeah, spectacular. I still remember that it's the first place Okona Idem Kudia Imboa.
anyways,
Sorry,
gentlemen.
everyone. Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
anyways, gentlemen, that was amazing. So, right about now, we'll be taking a break. it's been great as regards the sensitization around climate action, conservation, and all that. And one after the break, we'll get into a different topic. So catch us on the flip side.
Zambia Blog Talk Radio.
Do you want to promote your business on Zambia Broad Talk Radio? Yes, that's right. Live on Zambia Broad Talk Radio. To book your spot, just make a donation by picking from the following categories. To get started, just call or WhatsApp the number on the screen and you'll be good to go. Live on Zambia Broad Talk Radio every Saturday for 1 full month. And it will stay on the recorded shows.
Welcome, Zambia Blog Talk Radio family. We're discussing trending issues in Zambia. We also touched the global issue as regards COP27 just before the break. Now we put Mr. Mwewa in the hot seat most. Mr. Mwewa, trending Zambian issues. What's happening in our country?
Yes, man, there's a lot. There's always drama in Zambia. There's always drama. But this past few weeks has been quite intense, quite emotional. Zambia lost one of its biggest comedians, Mr. Brighton Sinkala. That was a tragedy. And then there's news of one of our greatest footballers of our time, man, Enoch Mwepo, he's having trouble with he's been forced into retirement due to a heart condition. That's quite emotional for most of us Zambia soccer fans. And on the bright side, of course, we had our Sampa the Great, Chef 187, Tio and Mwanje doing it big for Mother Zambia in the music industry. They're featuring their song featured as the soundtrack to Black Panther. That one is huge, man. That one is huge. So while we had our sad moments, but at least we also had some quite good moments to be happy about.
I want to take you back to the first item you raised, being the demise of the legendary comedian, Mr. Brighton Sinkala. I personally remember, I think the first time I listened to him live, he always joked about his head being big for some reason. And there was always humor around that, how he just laughed about it. Because usually when it comes to body shaming, most people get offended when they're teased about how they look. And all that, no, you're not tall enough, or things like that. But I just like how Mr. Brighton Sinkala embraced that part of him and how he just made people laugh. There was this one time that he made a joke to say, "Hey, you laugh about my big head, right? I'm glad that I am male and I have a big head. But then imagine you had a daughter with a head like mine." And everyone just burst into laughter. And such are the memories that are bringing sorrow in many people when you just remember how he could lighten up moments as well as events. But hey,
he definitely was a great man. I mean, he's someone who used comedy to both entertain and educate. And like you have highlighted, he would use his size of the head to basically, he would drive lessons to people. Like you have just mentioned, he knows his head is big, and whereas in the time he was younger, people would tease him about that. He tried to embrace it and use it to his advantage. And there's no way someone can bully you on something that you have accepted. And that's some message that he's trying to send. If you have something that someone can try to use against you, accept it, and they won't have anything to use against you. And he used his comedy in that regard. He used comedy when shopping. He used comedy on the stage, in church. And it's something that he used to help. It's his contribution to humanity, I must say. He was a mentor to many, and he used his comedy, by the way, to mentor quite a lot of people. I heard Mwana Chingwala in one of the interviews where he was talking about how the mentorship journey had been at the Lusaka Playhouse and how many people he had brought in together just through his comedy, and how he promoted leadership through comedy. And being a member of, I hear he's a member of the Seventh Day Adventist Church, a church that I've attended for quite some time. And I feel he's had quite an impact in the church as well. So for him, comedy was not just something that he used on stage. It was a tool that he would use to impact leadership, to impact personal growth in humanity, in the Zambian youth. I think that's what I can say.
Touching. I like one very important point you raised there, to say, because we live in a cruel world where people will try to pick out maybe a negativity in you and use that to bring you down. But then you raise the point to say that which you have embraced or rather accepted can never or rather cannot affect you. And all this while, whenever I got to listen to Mr. Brighton Sinkala personally, I only used to laugh at the joke side of whatever he talked about. But then now you bringing to light the fact that because he had accepted his situation, I first of all, I don't even think his head was that big, though. To be frank, I think it was normal. But then, for you to just say that which you have accepted, if people are going to say, "Hey, hello, you have big ears," or things like that, don't cry over it. Don't go under the bed and just mourn and weep and things like that. Accept it and say, hey, you know what? Fine, I have big ears, but these are what I use to capture what normal human being can hear. That kind of a thing. Maybe you say I have big ears, but I use these to capture more information. That kind of a thing. So yeah, I like that aspect. Mr. Loyal, do you have any fond memories as regards Mr. Brighton Sinkala?
Yeah, I think is one person that was very funny, and I think one of the jokes that he brought out was about women. I think one thing, he always used to appreciate his wife very well. I think that's one thing, even if he was joking, but he would appreciate his wife very well. And he said, I have a very beautiful wife at home, and you must know that there are three classes of women. There are those beautiful women that everyone will knock off their neck and just stand and look. And there are those that brutalize in the eyes of the beholder. And there are those that brutalize in the eyes of the beholder. And I really laugh because, these are some of the these are some of the things that you not really meet anywhere around. But yeah, he really liked to joke around that, and said, when you are beautiful, you are beautiful. Will I be party at your one most brutalized in the eyes of the beholder or the beholder? I think when you wake up, you even be asking yourself, where did I pick this woman from? Because it's brutalizing the eyes of the beholder, not everyone. So yeah, that's one of the memories I really remember him about, when he talked and appreciated himself and as well as the wife. So I think that was really amazing. And yeah, you need to appreciate your loved ones. You need to appreciate the people that you are always close to.
Before we move on to the next issue, I like how you've made mention to say it's very imperative that we appreciate those that we love, like what Mr. Brighton did. I also remember one particular clip, and I feel he was nurturing his daughter into comedy, because there was this one clip where he asks his daughter to say, what do you want to be when you grow up? Then what does the daughter say? I really laughed. So then the daughter says, I want to either become a medical doctor or a pastor? Yeah. So then the father asks, Mr. Brighton Sinkala asks the daughter to say, why do you want to become a medical doctor? Then she says, I want to become a medical doctor to say, so that I could um do is it surgery, operate on your head in order that it may become smaller. Then and this is on social media, and he has shared this, and this is a little daughter. I really love. Then the father, Mr. Brighton Zingala, asks to say, and why do you want to become a pastor? Then she says, in case medicine does not work, in case I'm unable to operate on you, I'm going to pray for you in order that your head might shrink. So it was was humorous
Yeah,
and really amazing. May
pretty
his soul
amazing, man.
rest in peace. It was on, I think it was Kabwe Dollar Road, I believe, where his vehicle was involved in an accident, and yeah, we lost him, but we remember him for the amazing works. We have fond memories of him. Yeah, the next item, Mr. Moa.
Yeah, the next item I spoke about was our great footballer Enoch Mwepu. We saw the media talk about him being forced into early retirement. And he's been quite instrumental in Zambian football, being having served as captain, and also when he moved to Brighton, I think it has put Zambia on the map. Like literally, everyone knows there's great football in Zambia because of the likes of him, Patson Daka, and probably other Fashion Sakala, Emmanuel Banda, and the like. But Kumupu getting into retirement, that's pretty sad for most of us fans. It's taken away not only from him, well, us as the fans, but I also feel for him, man. He was a dreamer. He is a dreamer, and I would like to believe there's a lot that he would want to have done for Zambian football and international football at large. So I think that's a very sad case for us.
Mr. Luaile?
Yeah, indeed, it's a very sad moment. Not that we've really lost some great talent in football. This is at the moment when his dream was just blossoming and is becoming better and better and every day. And yeah, it's really a hard moment, not only for him, but even for us, the fans, the supporters that would always be glued to our televisions whenever Brighton is playing, whenever the national team is called to play. And so I think we can only hope and wish him the best. It's not easy to end a career at such a young age when you still have dreams, when you still have hopes to still reach greater heights. And well, you thought to you can never do it anymore. I think it's not an easy moment, but we should also ensure that we stand with him and we give him the support that he needs at this very point, and the family as well. They need our support. They need our cheering, and yeah, let's support him as a young person. We still looking out for dreams, aspirations in life away from football. Yes, he will be supporting the soccer fraternity, but not on the pitch anymore, which is really sad, heartbreaking for me personally, not to watch such great talent on the pitch again. You know, his dribbles, his perfect goals were awesome. I remember specifically, I'm a Liverpool fan, but specifically, the goal he scored against Liverpool last season, that was a stunning goal. That was a really amazing goal, and I think that's one memory that I'll always have of him on the pitch, the goal that he scored against Liverpool. And I believe that goal came out the best goal of the season for is it Brighton?
Brighton
Yeah, that was amazing, and he was such a talented young man, and I'm wishing him the best, and I think we are hoping to see his dreams comes to pass away from football, but still supporting football.
Yeah, like you have mentioned, it's heartbreaking to so many soccer fans right here in Zambia and across the globe, and it's just amazing to see the support that he's received. His former club, Red Bull Salzburg, made mention to say it's that place is always home and they're ready to support him. Brighton and Hove Albion just in their game against Brentford, they just wore shirts honoring and just standing with Enoch Mwepu, which was heartwarming, and also his coach, the new coach, just made mention to say whatever path Enoch is going to choose, he's going to support him. His other former coach, now Chelsea coach, Graham Potter, also made mention to say he's going to support Enoch. And I think before I used to talk about the marathon that I'm going to do on my birthday, and of course that's going to be about. But now, in honor of how Enoch has touched so many lives, and in particular my life, I'm going to run to actually support him. This jersey came from Enoch himself. Yeah. So Enoch, I'm trying to put it nicely so that so the camera.
Yeah, no, we can see the name. It's showing.
Yeah. So Enoch sent this to me personally, and I was really blown away because this came all the way from Brighton to Zambia, and seeing a huge talent and a friend ending their career, I think prematurely when they're just at their peak is not a good thing. But we are standing with him. He's a tough lad, and he's made mention to say he's going to fight. He's really definitely going to bounce back, be it bouncing back in football or in whichever path. Being the person that he is and the fighter, the boy from Chambishi would definitely make us proud. So yeah, that's about Enoch. Welcome, Mr. Moyo. You haven't missed much. I was just announcing or rather sharing to the world that Enoch sent this jersey to me all the way from Brighton for this reason. Yeah, so for this reason, my birthday run on the 6th of November is actually going to be a dedication to Enoch. It's going to be a run to just stand with him in order that he can actually be strong, because he has touched so many Zambians and so many fans across the world. He has shown to say humble beginnings do not mean that that's the end for you. You can start from a small town like Chambishi and make it all the way to one of the best leagues in the world, being the English Premier League, and score amazing goals against great teams like Liverpool as well as Arsenal.
Yeah.
We have a few minutes to go, about 6 minutes. In the minutes that we have left, we are now just going to talk about the last item, Mr. Moewa. What is it?
Yeah, that one is the song "Never Forget Sampa the Great." That lady is putting Zambia on the map. That one is good. Is good, and I just love the Chef 187 verse at Pititinkanda or Mushishini Napi. That's hot. I love that. And those guys have done pretty
rap.
I never knew someone can rap.
Did you know the meaning of that line?
In fact, Sampa the Great and Chef 187. Tio Mwanje
Yeah.
and those guys have done good for Zambian music industry. I just love how they've done it. It's a
Okay.
great sound.
One, like you had made mention, initially when I was hearing about Samba the Great and all that, right? I thought that this is one person who's grown up in Australia or things like that. Can you imagine that she only went to Australia for school, tertiary education, that is?
Oh yeah, man.
This
It's pretty
lady
impressive,
is
man.
yeah, this lady is Zambian. She's grown in between. She's grown up in between Zambia and Botswana. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
but then she only went to Australia for school, so meaning that
Oh
she's
yeah.
actually our very own, and that's
They're
why
very young.
she says that they've been trying to say that she's more Australian and all that, but then she's like, no, hello, I am Zambia, and it's really amazing. Zambia on the map. Marvel, those are the biggest are they a movie producer? What are they?
Well, I think if you see Marvel on a movie starting, it's gonna be a great movie. So yeah, I think we can safely say they're big, man. They're big, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love how Sampa the Great always wants to move with the Zambian flag each time she steps on the stage. She just has to show like I'm representing my country. I'm doing this for Zambia, and for me it speaks volumes for who she wants to be identified as. And then, in as much as people would want to say she's Australia, she's Botswana, she's whatever, she says, yo, I have lived in these places, I have been there, but my home is Zambia, and I would like to be identified as a Zambian. And she does that every time she steps on a stage. She brings her flag with her. And then you have Chef 187, who has always been dreaming of winning a Grammy, and he says Grammy Nechivemba, and so for him
Which
coming
is
out in that song,
interpreted as winning a Grammy uh in Bemba language, right? Like doing a song
yeah,
in
like
Bemba and then
yes,
winning a Grammy. Yeah. Okay.
yes. So, yeah, and it's something that we have not seen. There's been no Zambian who's done that, and for him, he says, I want my music, which is local, to go and feature and win a Grammy award, and that's big. That's a big dream, and and um, and it's just something. Tio also has been doing quite good in music. At some point, it seemed he had disappeared, but just recently they started doing good music, and we saw him coming up in a number of features with Sampa the Great, and of course Mark 44, who's been doing quite good in producing music. He's done quite good in the Zambian music production as well. So that combination was huge, and it's brought us the success that we so much have been wanting in the Zambian music. So I think we've had quite some good thing there.
We
Yeah,
have
kudos
definitely
to the team.
some
I
amazing
must
things.
say kudos to the team and thumbs up to Sampa the Great and everybody that is putting Zambia on the map. It's really amazing, great works, and I think let's support these uh, uh, people as they go out there. These artists as they represent the country, they need our support, and we should be proud of their works that they are doing.
Zambia Kuchalo. Well, before we go, we just have about a minute. I would like to actually let everybody know to say, besides her soundtrack featuring in Marvel, Samba the Great song, one of Samba the Great songs also features in the upcoming FIFA 23. So this Zambian is amazing, and she's definitely putting Zambia on the map. All
Oh
right.
man, sorry.
Yeah.
FIFA 23, Patson
Yeah.
Daka. That should have been also mentioned. Patson Daka
FIFA
is also
23.
featuring.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's
Yeah.
huge, man.
He's one of the top ranked Southern Africans, or rather Africans, in FIFA 23. So Patson Daka is also putting Zambia on the map. Zambia Kuchalo. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Great.
Anyways, Yeah, so we have come to the end of our segment. Lukumaloaile Modimwewa, thank you so much for joining us today and making this discussion amazing. We look forward to having you again soon in the near future. Zambia Blog Talk Radio family, we shall see you again in 7 days. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Zambia Blog Talk Radio.